Are you struggling to get the HTML of a website using Retrofit in your Android app? You're not alone. Many developers face this challenge, and today, we're going to tackle it together. I totally understand how frustrating it can be when you just want to scrape some data from a website, but the code isn't working as expected. You're not the only one who's been there, and we're here to help. Let's dive into the specific question at hand. One user asked, "How can I get the HTML of a website with Retrofit?" They provided an example URL and shared their code, but they only received a snippet of the HTML. Sound familiar? Let's find a solution. So what's going on here? When using Retrofit, it's crucial to ensure that your request is set up correctly to retrieve the full HTML content. Let's break down the code and see where we can improve it. And stick around. By the end of this video, you'll not only know how to get the full HTML, but also some tips on optimizing your Retrofit requests. To retrieve the complete HTML content from a website using Retrofit, the user should first ensure their Retrofit setup is configured correctly. This includes using the right base URL and an appropriate converter. Next, the user needs to modify the interface to ensure it retrieves the full HTML content. This involves using the correct endpoint in the interface definition. Now, the user should handle the response properly to extract the HTML content. Instead of converting it to a string, they can directly access the response body. Finally, if the user wants to load more content, they may need to implement pagination or additional API calls, depending on the website's structure. Fun fact, did you know that the first web page ever created is still online? It was made by Tim Berners-Lee in 1991. Just like that page, we want to access all the content on modern websites. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative solution provided by another user involves creating a new class to handle the HTML retrieval. They set up a dispatcher with a fixed thread pool and configure an OK HTTP client with a connection pool. The Retrofit instance is built with a custom page adapt to convert the response into a page object, which contains the HTML content. In this approach, the user defines a page class to hold the HTML content. The page adapter is responsible for converting the response body into this page object using JSON to parse the HTML. This allows for more flexibility in handling the HTML data. That's the end of that answer. Let's see another perspective. An alternative approach suggested by a user involves creating your call object as response body. This allows you to access the HTML response more effectively. You can retrieve the response code and the HTML string using response.body string. Here's a pro tip. Always check the website's robots.txt file to ensure you're allowed to scrape its content. Respecting web scraping rules is crucial. And there you have it. You should now be able to retrieve the full HTML of a website using Retrofit. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks on Android development.